Welcome into Steelers Talk, Yinzers. My name is Jack Sperry. Today we are talking Bobby Wagner, the inside linebacker, 9-time All-Pro in the NFL, was released by the Rams yesterday. Quite a shocking move, to be honest with you. We're going to be breaking down the pros, the cons of bringing him in, how much it's going to cost likely to bring him in. We're going to break down the whole shebang today and why I think the Steelers should go get him. But before we get into that, go ahead and like this video right now. If you want to see Bobby Wagner in black and gold next year, you want him to become a Pittsburgh Steeler. I sure want him to come to Pittsburgh. But if you want Bobby Wagner, the 9-time All-Pro and Super Bowl champion, to join the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, make sure to like the video right now. All right, so let's get into Bobby Wagner and his profile here. He was the top inside linebacker in the National Football League according to Pro Football Focus grading last year. 9-time All-Pro. He was a second-team All-Pro in 2022. And he's an 8-time Pro Bowler, guys. 9-time All-Pro, like I said, Super Bowl champion with the Seahawks. Still one of the best inside linebackers in the National Football League. And you could probably argue that he is the best, actually. Like, he's been on some bad teams. Like, he's been on some bad Seahawks teams. The Rams weren't that good last year. But, man, Bobby Wagner, when he is in the game, in the middle of a defense, like, teams do not want to target the middle of the field with this guy roaming there. And he's one of the best run stuffers in the league. He is just such a massive, massive talent. And the Steelers had interest in him last year, which is why they might go after him again this season, because we know inside linebacker is a massive need for the Pittsburgh Steelers to address this offseason. And then also Pittsburgh has a great defense, so Bobby Wagner might want to come in and be that piece in the middle to go along with Minkah Fitzpatrick in the secondary and TJ Watt and Cam Hayward on the D-line and Alex Highsmith, of course. Steelers already have some really great players, but you add the number one linebacker in the National Football League last season. I mean, just imagine how good this defense would be. I think you would have a lot of fun with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the defense that we have here. And then also Tomlin is a player's head coach. Players love playing for him. They love playing for him. I just think he would be a great head coach. I think, later on in his career, Bobby Wagner doesn't really want to play for someone that's a dictator, that's an authoritarian type head coaching style. He wants somebody that, like Tomlin, someone that's a player's head coach that connects with the players and it just understands what it takes to win. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows what a good organization looks like, and I think the Steelers have one of the best organizations in football. But there are some potential roadblocks where he might not pick the Steelers. Number one, he wants to play for a title contender at this point in his career. Now, you can make the argument that the Steelers are a title contender, but I think that really depends on how you feel about Kenny Pickett. If you don't think Kenny Pickett is the real deal, then the Steelers aren't a true title contender over the next couple of years. But if you believe in Kenny Pickett, they definitely are. They got a great defense. They got some good receivers. They're building up the offensive line this offseason. So if Bobby Wagner believes in Kenny Pickett, that young, unproven QB, then I think that I think that the roadblock would go away. But if he doesn't believe in Kenny Pickett, I think that he'll probably go elsewhere to a team that he knows for sure can compete for a title coming next season. And then also, will Pittsburgh pay up? Inside linebacker is considered more of a low-value position, and he's going to be pretty expensive. We'll get into that in just a second, but will the Steelers be willing to pay the price that he's going to want to get in free agency? So let me know in the comment section right now. Should the Steelers sign inside linebacker, 9-time All-Pro Bobby Wagner in free agency? Type Y if you think yes, or type N if you think no. This is the pinned comment on today's show, so whenever you get an ad break, go into the comment section, find that pinned comment. It'll be right there at the top and answer today's question. So Bobby, he made about $12 million last year in Los Angeles. He's probably going to be expecting the same. He signed a 5-year deal with Los Angeles last year. I'm not sure it's going to be that long of a deal this time around. I think he's going to try to go for more of a short-term deal so that he has some flexibility there. But, Bobby is somebody, he's going to be asking for quite a bit of money, especially with the Roquan Smith contract getting up to $20 million per year. But I think Bobby, he's made a ton of money in his career. He's going to be willing to take like $12, $13 million. So if the Steelers could bring him in, this would be a great deal for them. But the thing is, they don't have a ton of cap space right now. Like, you look at their current cap room for 2023, according to Pro Football Focus, it's just over $80,000. That obviously needs to go up, so they need to make a couple of cuts in order to make this happen. And this is what I think that the Steelers could do to not only sign Bobby Wagner, but also bring back Cam Sutton. So the three players that you essentially need to cut there are William Jackson III, Myles Jack, and Montravius Adams, okay? So Montravius Adams, nose tackle, you can save $2.5 million by cutting him. He's no good in my opinion. That's an easy one. And then you just pretty much switch William Jackson III and Myles Jack, who had a disappointing season, for Bobby Wagner, the number one linebacker in the league last year, and Cam Sutton, who was your best cornerback, and you lock those guys up for at least the next couple of years. I think that this would be a fantastic move for the Steelers, and the money pretty much balances out here. Plus, if you make these exact moves, the Steelers would have an additional $1 million added to their cap. So I think this is a very smart move for the Steelers. You get to keep Cam Sutton, you get to sign Bobby Wagner, and you kind of cut bait with some of these other players that aren't doing so well. So right now the Steelers are trying to upgrade their roster. You need to upgrade your morning routine with today's sponsor at Athletic Greens. I drink AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day, and I love it. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted more sustained energy throughout my day and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. AG1 combines all of your key health products in one convenient and tasty beverage. And in my line of work, guys, sometimes you have to put in those long hours. So AG1 helps me feel energized and sharp so I can be at my best no matter how busy my schedule gets. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix one small scoop of AG1 with 12 ounces of water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. Easy, simple. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day, which is definitely less than the Starbucks you're drinking every single morning. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients, which is a win-win for you and your health. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplemental routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. So now we can take a look here at what the hypothetical depth chart would look like if you make those moves. You cut Myles Jack, you add Bobby Wagner. Obviously, it doesn't fix all of the Steelers' problems, right? You still got Robert Spillane hitting free agency. Devin Bush is going to be a free agent. Tay Crowder is going to be leaving. I mean, they need to fill some of these spots, even if they do go get Bobby Wagner. I think that you probably definitely maybe even re-sign Robert Spillane, and then you have to draft another linebacker still. But, I mean, switching out Bobby Wagner, the best graded inside linebacker in football last year for Myles Jack, who just wasn't cutting it last year. I think that's a fantastic move. You add another rookie in the draft this year to go along with Mark Robinson for the future. I think that this sets the Steelers up pretty darn nicely heading into 2023. So at the end of the day, guys, bring him in. I think the Steelers should absolutely do whatever it takes, unless he wants like $18 million per season or something crazy like that. If it's somewhere in the range of $12 to $14 million and he wants to come to Pittsburgh, absolutely, Omar Khan, Andy Weidel, Mike Tomlin, do whatever it takes to get this guy to Pittsburgh. This guy would give the Steelers an elite player at all three levels of the defense. You would have TJ Watt and arguably Cam Hayward and Alex Highsmith on the D-line. You'd have Bobby Wagner in the middle at linebacker, and then you'd have Minkah Fitzpatrick in the secondary. This defense would be absolutely unstoppable with Bobby Wagner in the middle of this defense. So now let's move on to some of these other news items for the Steelers today outside of Bobby Wagner. A bunch of Steelers offensive players met in Florida this week to train, build some chemistry, and there were some very interesting names on the list of players that were confirmed to be there. So, of course, Kenny Pickett, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. It's nice to see Calvin Austin III getting out, building chemistry with Pickett. But a couple of names that are very interesting to me are Mitchell Trubisky and Steven Sims, because there's been rumors that Mitchell Trubisky is going to get cut or traded, and then Steven Sims is actually a restricted free agent coming up here, so he might not even be on the Steelers. But their inclusion here in this workout tells me that Mitchell Trubisky is is starting to lean towards staying with the Steelers in 2023. I think that he's starting to warm up to the idea of being a backup quarterback and not a starting quarterback in the National Football League, and I'm very excited to see if he's going to accept that extension that the Steelers are going to be offering him. He actually graded pretty darn well in 2022. I think he was the 16th highest graded quarterback in the National Football League, despite getting replaced by Kenny Pickett last season. I think that, you look at what he's going to be bringing to the table next year, a high-end backup that knows Matt Canada's system. If, God forbid, something happens to Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky is going to be able to come in and win football games for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's why the Steelers want to bring him back, but the thing is, his cap hit is over $10 million, so I think that what needs to happen is the Steelers are going to want Trubisky to take an extension. Him being at these workouts tells me that he's at least open to the possibility of getting that deal done. Lock up a backup type of situation for him for the next 2 to 3 years. Lower that cap hit for 2023 so the Steelers can do a little bit more in free agency this offseason. And like I said, guys, it's looking more and more likely that Trubisky is going to be the backup quarterback. I know it's fun to talk about Jacoby Brissett or Baker Mayfield or somebody else coming in or even drafting a backup quarterback. But it seems like the Steelers and Trubisky now are open to the possibility of a return for 2023. So let me know if you think that that's a good idea. Should the Pittsburgh Steelers cut or keep Mitchell Trubisky for 2023? Type C if you think cut, or type K for keep. For me, I think if you can get this extension done, I would say keep him. He knows the offense. He has a good rapport with Kenny Pickett. I think don't mess with what works. I think stick with Trubisky as the backup if you can sign him to an extension. Then another name that was there is Steven Sims. I want to talk about Steven Sims for a little bit because if he comes back, I don't think the Steelers are going to get a free agent. I think the Steelers will add another wide receiver this offseason, whether it be Steven Sims, a free agent, or via the draft. So it'll be interesting to see what the Steelers want to do. Personally, I wouldn't bring back Steven Sims, but if the Steelers don't want to mess up that chemistry, they think that he's got a future in this league, then it's definitely possible that Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, these guys, if someone doesn't give him like a ridiculous offer in free agency, they might just bring him back on that qualifying offer. And quite frankly, guys, it's going to depend on the price, right? If someone offers him a pretty large contract to go be their slot receiver, which I think is probably unlikely, but at the end of the day, it could happen. If that happens, he won't be a Pittsburgh Steeler, but if he hits free agency, no one really offers him a bigger contract, and no one really offers him anything, then I think he probably will return on that qualifying offer once he hits restricted free agency. So, it's starting to look like that he might be a Steeler in 2023. So, finally, guys, let's have a little news here from the AFC North. Some great news here is that the Baltimore Ravens are far apart on Lamar Jackson's contract extension negotiations. And that is huge news for the Pittsburgh Steelers because Lamar Jackson is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. The Steelers defense has actually done a really good job on Lamar throughout his career, but Lamar is a really, really good quarterback. Getting him out of the division would be certainly something that would be a good thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the fans, the players, everything. He wants a contract in step with Deshaun Watson's. Deshaun Watson got a huge contract, fully guaranteed. That's what Lamar Jackson wants, and the Ravens don't want to do that because Lamar's had some injuries. His play style, he runs more than regular quarterbacks, so his injury risk is higher. They don't want to invest that much guaranteed money in Lamar, and that's kind of the sticking point. It seems like neither side is willing to budge right now, so it's looking like it's starting to head towards a trade with like Atlanta, Washington, maybe Indianapolis. This thing is starting to come off the rails, guys, and I am praying, please, Baltimore, screw this up. Screw this up, please. You have an MVP quarterback, an MVP caliber quarterback on your roster, and you're about to let him go? Are you serious? This would be fantastic for us as Steelers fans, but it's like, I'm looking at Baltimore, I'm like, just pay the man. He's an extremely good quarterback. I think that he is underrated as a pocket passer. And, this is a Steelers channel, so I don't want to be praising Lamar Jackson too much, but it's like, Like, he's a good quarterback, Baltimore. Like, if you're not paying him, you're not bringing him back, you guys are just a terrible organization. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think will happen this offseason. Will Lamar Jackson get traded, or will he come back to the Baltimore Ravens? If you think he gets traded, type 1. If you think he stays with Baltimore this offseason, type 0. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. I appreciate you, Steeler Nation. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.